need to know about Larry Rundle is .520. That's Rundle's tournament winning percentage on the volleyball tour. A better winning percentage than St. John Smith, better than Kent Steffes, Randy Stoklos, Phil Dahlhauser, and yes, better than Karch Kiraly. In fact, he's the only male player to win over half of the tournaments he entered. Rundle's short 7-season career from 1967 to 1973 was spectacular, not for longevity, but for intensity. Rundle played volleyball at UCLA when it was a club sport with such legendary teammates as Ernie Sawara and Keith Erickson. He was the star of the epic 1968 United States Olympic team match in Mexico City against the dreaded Soviet Union. Behind Rundle's dynamic hitting, the U.S. beat the heavily favored Soviets in a 5-set preliminary round match, one of the greatest victories in U.S. volleyball history. In the very next match against Czechoslovakia, Rundle landed on the referee stand and sprained his ankle. He never played another point in the Olympics, and the Soviets went on to win the gold medal. Disappointed, but not deterred, Rundle quickly made his mark on the open beach tournament circuit. Wearing black socks in events to play into his nerd image, the 6-foot Rundle was extremely explosive out of the sand. His best success came with the mysterious Henry Bergman, whose physical prowess helped make the duo the most entertaining warm-up team of all time. 7 of Rundle's career victories came when he partnered with Bergman. He also won 5 times with Bob Clem and once with Ron Von Hagen. His greatest victory came with Bergman at the 1968 Manhattan Open in one of the most legendary finals in the history of the sport. Rundle and Bergman battled Von Hagen and Ron Lang for over 6 hours on that Sunday, squaring off in both the winner's bracket final and the championship double final. It was pitch dark by the end of the match, and it finally ended when Lang couldn't see the ball anymore in the last game to 15, handing the victory to Rundle and Bergman. Rundle would go on to win the Manhattan Open for a second time with Bob Clem in 1971. Larry Rundle was like a beach volleyball comet, streaming across the sky for a short but spectacular time with enough burning intensity to land in the Hall of Fame.
Look at him move. Take them 2 at a time, Larry. Larry Rundle. You know, each of us out, sitting out there has been exposed to volleyball somehow. Someplace along your life, you saw someone who inspired you, captured your fancy, who introduced you to the game of volleyball, and Larry was one of those for me. It was about 1967 or so. He was playing in a AA tournament at Sorrento. I was a little grommet playing just about every day down at Sorrento in Santa Monica. And I saw a AA tournament. I'd seen Lang and Von Hagen playing stuff, but here I saw a tournament where even a guy like Larry could get girls if you were a good enough volleyball player. And I thought, this sport has promise. And he was playing with Greg Miller, a UCLA teammate, I believe. And he's playing with Bobby and Brian Jones, who were wearing Batman shirts, and Mitch Malpe and Danny Patterson, and some great athletes. And I thought, geez, look at this. I considered myself an athlete. I said, this is the sport for me. Look at these beautiful girls, good athletes, sunshine, take a dip in the ocean. And Larry was the one that got me going on the road to volleyball. So I have to thank him for that. Did you win that tournament? No, not Manhattan, Sorrento AA.
Oh, no, Henry, no.
You didn't win that tournament.
Greg Miller? Yeah. Yes, we won. Yeah.
Okay. Physically, he's still doing fine even today, and so Larry goes on to be a great player, and I hear about his exploits in the '68 Olympics in Mexico City, and he goes on to play with Henry Bergman in the '68 Manhattan Open that you heard about. He's just amazing. And in 1971, I think it is, he played with Bobby Clem, and I was playing with my brother Greg, and Greg says he reffed every one of the games that you every one of the tournaments that you won. I think you were 5 out of 6 or something that year. And Greg sat on the stand and watched, and he said, and he learned something from you, because he went on to win a lot of tournaments too. He said Rundle had the mental focus, like Ron Lang, to defeat you with his brain, with his mind and his confidence. And all of us know how critical that is. Whether you're in the Olympics or playing in high school or wherever you're playing, you got to have that mental game, and Larry had that in spades. It is what he needed after those 5.5 hours or something in Manhattan to win that tournament, and throughout his career he always had that. And then he wanted to have a career. I don't think he made a penny for winning that 68 Open. No, nothing. So the rest of you that won a lot of pennies, think about it. His motivation was purely to be the top of the beach volleyball subculture. And people battled long and hard to do that with no compensation. Larry later decided he wanted some compensation and got an actual job. He'd come out to the beach and he'd be white. The rest of us are tan and strong. Larry'd be white with zinc oxide on his face and not really the archetypal beach volleyball stud. And he'd still win. So that's the tribute to Larry Rundle. Still going. I had the privilege of coaching his son, Wes, and marveling at his amazing daughter, Brooke, as she became a volleyball player as well. And through all the years, I played with him on the Santa Barbara Spikers and indoors and again on the beach, and he was always just a study in class and competence and aggressive, quick twitch muscle fiber. He's got it in spades. So congratulations, Larry Rundle.
Thank you very much, John. It's a real pleasure and honor to be here and to be recognized for something that occurred so many years ago. And trying to think of some of the thoughts that I might have for this gathering. I try to think back to when we started, and like probably all of you in the room, you would go down to your local beach, and there was a court 1 and a court 2 and 3 and 4, and there was a pecking order of what courts you played on and who got to play. And like a lot of you, on the particular beach that we played at, which was Sorrento, there was 2 mean old bullies that covered and dominated on court 1, named Ronnie Van Hagen and Ronnie Lang. And Ronnie Lang, being the sensitive, caring person that he was, he would get on the court and dominate just, all day. And he would take great relish in trying to beat you. We played to 11 to try to take the guys out at 7-0. And if he, after he would do that, it was like he just was enjoying it so much that I just had to be able to eventually beat Ron Lang and Ron Van Hagen. But it took a long time to be able to do that. And I think that there's a lot of you that have similar stories of somebody that you were trying to beat, and you kept on chasing them and chasing them and chasing them. And that's how you get better. And that's how you get a lot better. In my case, I was very fortunate. I met a young guy who wandered up to me at the AA beach in Sorrento and said, "You want to play next year?" And I said, "Sure. What's your name?" "Henry." "Oh, yeah, Henry, let's play." And that was the end of the conversation. And I didn't hear from him again until a week before the first East Beach tournament up in Santa Barbara, and we played together, and it was miraculous playing with him. He was fantastic. A couple of years later, I met a young guy that played on our indoor team at the Chart House that I met. I knew him from Sorrento Beach and State Beach. Bobby Clem was Southern California. He grew up in the Santa Monica Canyon, I think he was in the first class of Palisades High. He was a terrific athlete. Met him on the Olympic trials. He was super on the Olympic trials. We then played on his Chart House team indoors, and at the national championships in Hawaii that year, 1970, he was, in my opinion, he was the best player in the tournament. We won that tournament. We had a great team. We had Mike Bright and Rudy Sawara and Danny Patterson, but Bobby was an All-American that year, and I thought he should have been the MVP of that tournament. But anyway, we got to know each other a little bit better, and then we decided to hook up in '71. And he was so steady. He was just pass, set, hit, and it was just, that was what it was about. Now, as I was looking at some of those pictures, you know, that's maybe like hitting maybe one ball and a half above the net. I was recently walking through the Thousand Oaks Mall, and I happened to come across, I was just walking by Phil Dalhouser. And Phil is one big dude, and I've never met him, so I don't know him, he didn't know me. I just kind of walked next to him by myself, and he went on. And he had long arms, and he's up here, and I just can't imagine what it would be like trying to hit against him. You know, my little ball and a half shots, I would have been eating leather constantly. And that's what the guys nowadays are having to face. I mean, blocking over, hitting against 7-footers, it would have been very, very, very tough. But last comment, I'm just thrilled at the development of the game with the kids playing in organized tournaments. Gals can play beach volleyball and get scholarships. The amount of scholarships available for the young girls that can play indoors, it's fantastic. And then, of all things, to turn on in the Olympics, to turn on at 7 o'clock, NBC national coverage. There they are, playing right in London on national television, and there's old Chris Marlowe announcing, and our gals, our good Americans are winning the gold medal. I'm just so thrilled at how far the game has come and how far you all have brought it. So I'm very honored. Thank you very much.